So in this episode, we're going to cover the removal of the step entryway into a PD3751 or a PD4151, which is the same bus. It only has to have a different designation due to the seating capacity. So we had removed the step. Somebody came to us and says, look, hey, I got to do that to my bus. What did you have to do? Well, number one, we purchased a service manual from a gentleman, and we're going to put up his information here within our video. It was well worth the $300. It came from a company called Coach Information Network. Their website is coachinfo.com. So what he's done is he has taken a original manual, paid a company to go through and clean up the pages as they scanned them. Been 100% helpful to us. Now, in our case, we went ahead and purchased the PDF format. Well, he makes pens and trinkets out of wood. So we ordered the USB version, and that's what we'd recommend for you. He does offer it in the paper format, and they're about the same price per se. But for us, we chose to go with the USB. Why? Because not only can we load it on our computer screen, but we can also print it out. Even though we could share this with folks, it's not fair. The gentleman spent the time and effort to get the work done. What's nice is he made this nice little wooden blocked USB, and it is laser etched with his information on one side, and on the front side he put GMC PD4151. Then he has the item number, which is 71026. So go ahead and check that out yourself. That is helping us through this project. Of course, we have a original manual coming to us, which is nice for a collector's aspect, but here you can print out individual pages. So while we reviewed what it takes to take these steps out, you got to go and actually do the project. One of the things that you don't see in the manual will be the challenge that you're going to have. So we're going to watch these videos that we took, and this will give you a bit of insight, so hopefully you'll enjoy. So here we go. Okay, so we had somebody contact us that when we had made some earlier videos that they would like us to go back through and kind of describe the process of taking these steps out. So we're on the other side of the property where we have our other Silverside bus, the Sleepy LaBeef bus as it's known. And so this bus, they had ran additional wiring that was definitely not original, and you can see it going along the line here and around the edge. Definitely not original, but you can definitely see that some of the original trim is there, and so that's what I want you to look at. So when you look at this, just above that, so just above the wiring there, you see that there is a piece of trim that goes across there, and it comes all across the top here. A couple spots, there's some screws, but behind that is a metal retainer, which has even more screws behind that. So this is more like a cover, if you will. And at least in the other bus, it also seemed to have acted kind of like a clip. It kind of held that trim into place. So there would be more on the left side as well. Now the privacy screen is obviously long gone in this bus. It was stripped out when it was customized. But if you take that trim off, it'll reveal that metal strip. Go back to part 1 of our previous videos where we're talking about the wiring harness, and you'll see Jill holding up that metal strip. So that's what's underneath those metal pieces. So you're going to take those out. The other thing is in this metal tread, there are screws in here on our bus, and you're going to see them here as well. So this one's kind of worked into really the tread really badly. There's another one over here. So they're really funky. So it looks like there's 6 of them here total, and then there's an oddball here. So So you got 6 of them on the out, and you got a couple in the middle. Those gotta be undone. Now you're not going to be able to remove the plate that was underneath there, as you saw also in that previous video, but we're going to take a walk over to that step and we're going to review that. But this top tread needs to come off. That way it releases it from the mounting hardware that's underneath. And we'll also talk about where these screws screw into in a minute. The bottom step tread, you can technically leave it in place like on the other one, but you're also going to find out that it's actually better off to go ahead and take the screws out. Why? Because it also screws in as well. So instead of making a guessing game which screws can stay, which ones don't, just take them out. To the left here, there's a plate there. Go ahead and leave that there. You don't need to worry about it. So that is the simple explanation of what you need to do. We had gone through a mess load of bits. Spend the money, get some really good quality drill bits for this project, because otherwise Ray went through a bucket of bits. These are hardened screws. I don't know if they were stainless steel, but I didn't look at the screws myself offhand, but we might discover them in the other bus here in a minute. But they're definitely really bad. You are going to use lots of foul language getting them out, because there's just no way. And get yourself a impact which requires you to hit it with a hammer, and that's the only way we can get them out. Using a traditional air impact or screwdriver style, electric screwdriver style impact gun, those don't work. Those are just a nightmare waiting to happen. We tried it, didn't work. So having an impact, which requires a hammer for you to hit it, that holds the bit, that is what you want. So let's go over to the other bus. Okay, so now we're at the step. It is propped up just as it would be in the bus. You can see all the little holes that are from all those little screws that you'll be removing. So loads of fun waiting for you. This is the back side of that vent. This is all original, so no access into there without removing the steps. So if you think you're going to get in there and do some repairs on the wiring, not going to happen unless you remove the step. This bracket here that's laying here was on this front lip. There are 2 front screws there, but don't bother really expecting you to remove the top plate that goes underneath the top step, because it is completely supposed to be riveted in. Ours was heavily corroded, so just on this front lip wasn't really attached. When we get ready to reinstall this, we're going to make this where it's actually removable with screws. This way, if we ever need to get to that harness or the air lines, we have serviceability. Okay, so we are now at the bus that we're doing the restoration on, and we've popped open the door for you so we can kind of go over what we have. Now, this piece of wood that's there now, we have it screwed in, but the other piece that we're using as a top step is removable while we do our repairs. So when this step is in place, off to the left here, it will be screwed in along here. You can see there was a little bit of corrosion. We're probably going to cover that up with a nice little small plate of some sort. It wraps around this bump out and it follows along that top edge. You can see with the wiring now removed, we have yet to power wash this area, the front of the bus as of yet. But we want to definitely clean as much of this corrosion up as possible before a patch panel comes in. Now, I'll put an arrow up here to show this bracket that should go all the way over to basically where you see that hole in the floor to your left, and that is where the step will rest on and give you support. Now, at the bottom of your screen is our second one. So the 2 of those will disperse the weight of a person stepping in and out. Now, to the right here, you have another access panel that is not a hole in the floor from rot.
That is your access panel to service those air lines. So really important, we do need to test these lines, and they will. So as far as our step mechanism is concerned, you can clearly see the track and the mechanism, how it works, and it comes right down to the step. Now, somebody had a question, and they say, hey, what is this little bump out right here? What's this going on right here? So I had to ask Ray. Ray's been underneath the bus. I'm not crawling underneath this thing as of yet until it's on concrete, but he's a little more daring than I am. But that is apparently part of where the shackle is attaching to the bus for your leaf springs. So that answers that question. So this whole area is exposed to the weather. How do you seal that? Well, going back to this bracket, I'll put up a couple arrows here and you'll see the brackets, and there's actually a foam like rubber product in there to act as a seal that goes around this basin that we call a step, and that is to kind of act as a sealer. The platform that is nearest, that I had already talked about, that the step rests on, that has this fabric that sits on top of it and prevents it from allowing it, the metal to rub against the stainless and to make a hole. Well, that goes across the top as well, on both of those points. So it's kind of being padded, if you will. It does a pretty good job. Is it watertight? No. But in this case, even though it's not watertight per se, it does a fairly good job, because not only is it holding the tub, but it's wedged in between the outer bracket piece. Again, I'll put another arrow, and the actual bracket that supports the actual tub. So it does create a seal. How good of one, don't know. But unfortunately, with the water coming from the driver's feet area to the top step area, and eventually working its way underneath the top step plate, and eventually corroding the metal plate that's under that, it eventually was able to get in to where that wire loom is, thus making this hole that you see and all the corrosion. So you're talking years of problems here. It's a 1948 vehicle, guys. Do yourself a favor. Take out your steps. I don't care if your bus is running and driving. This is a major issue. If you looked at our other videos, all of the wiring in this area is completely gone. This bus was driving 12 years ago. Okay? And this has only been basically a one-owner bus in reality. The previous guy that had it only had it for a very, very brief time from when it came out of Greyhound service. This never went to a tour bus company or anything like that. Straight out of Greyhound service. So anything done to this bus was the guy we bought it from. So he wasn't playing with this stuff, and it was working when he parked it 12 years ago, supposedly. So it took a long time, although we did also find evidence of wires being ran. So the wiring is out of that area. There's still some wires up front here to be removed yet. But hopefully that answers your questions. As far as the step removal from here, cleaning it up, putting a patch in, putting a new support in there as well. So we'll see what happens here. We're going to get everything prepped for paint. So hopefully that helps, guys.